Hello there, this is Dana Arcuri, author, speaker, survivor, advocate, and certified trauma recovery coach from danaarcuri.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope everyone is doing well. And today we're going to have a new topic. It's about shattering the narcissist's web of lies. And we're going to talk about brainwashing. Have you been brainwashed by the malignant narcissist? If so, we're going to chat a little bit about that today. And so we can understand that a malignant narcissist craves narcissistic supply. That means that they need you to be in the relationship with them because they need this emotional reaction from you, which is considered narcissistic supply, and it keeps the fuel going. It's almost like, adding fire to this fuel. And they love the drama. They love the dysfunction. They crave all of the unbelievable amount of nonsense and the vindictiveness that they stir up. This is what they do. And so many of you have shared your personal experiences with narcissistic abuse as well as with family abuse. And we are not alone. So in this wonderful YouTube community, we're coming to find out that there's so many of us. Maybe we're the black sheep of the family. Maybe we're the family scapegoat. Or maybe for you, you were married to at one time or in a relationship with a narcissist and they cheated on you, they betrayed you, they lied to you. Maybe they did brainwash you. And some of you are even talking about, hey, I think I might have a trauma bond. So all of this is valid and it's something that we're going to talk about today. So let's get into brainwashing. So first, we're going to chat about, what is the definition of brainwashing and what is this? So according to wikipedia.com, they said that brainwashing is mind control and coercive persuasion. And so brainwashing can be subtle, it can be covert, you might not even be aware of it, but anytime there's extremely dysfunctional, toxic relationships, especially with someone who's sociopathic or narcissistic, we can understand that they will use all types of wicked schemes to trick us and to fool us and to make us think that we're the ones going crazy. And they're so good at this. There's a movie, it might be back in like the 1940s or 50s called Gaslight. And it's about this man who's a narcissist and he tries to make his wife think that she's going crazy. And technically, no, she's the one who's sane and she's the one who just happens to be victimized by this type of hideous bully. I just think it's despicable. It's appalling. It's actually so traumatic when we go through these painful experiences, whether it was your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whether it was your sibling, whether it was your mother, your father, etc., who happened to be the narcissist. It is quite an just absolutely horrible experience. It's painful, it's eye-opening, it's traumatic, and it could be life-changing because a lot of us, we have done the education, we have done the hard work, and we are understanding, yes, the narcissist is a master of manipulation. They do brainwash us, they lie to us, and there's this web of lies. And I believe that the narcissist actually does believe their own lies. It's really sad when you start thinking about it, like, wow, how could someone make up just nonstop web of lies and actually believe it? But I think that, this is part of the delusion. Someone who has a narcissistic personality, they're not mentally stable, they're not well, there's a lot going on within them. They live in denial, they do not self-reflect, they will not take ownership of their cruel words, actions, and behaviors. So we can't change them. We can't fix them, but we can change our own lives. We can't educate ourselves. And that's why I have these YouTube videos to help you understand all about toxic narcissistic relationships, dysfunctional relationships, and how to heal our own selves and our own trauma. So let's move on. Now we have to understand that it's when someone intentionally uses these psychological manipulative tactics to try to change our unconscious reality of us that it becomes brainwashing. And, the thing is, we may not know when it's happening. And I always say, give yourself grace because you didn't know what you did not know, whether it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or beyond. Try not to blame yourself. Do not feel guilty because you were in a relationship with a narcissist. Instead, extend empathy and kindness and compassion to your own self because you are so, so worthy of that. Next is that I'm going to say something about my narcissistic mother. And this is in regards to the web of lies as well as the brainwashing. And so I realized as an adult, grown woman, that after I went no contact with my narcissistic mother in 2018, with time, with distance, with peace of mind, because now I'm not near her. Now I'm not having to deal with the gaslighting and the crazy making and the triangulation of relationships and all the drama and the trauma. Okay, so I was finally free from it. So with time and with distance, you will see things more clearly. You will start connecting all the dots. It's like putting a puzzle together. You start putting all these missing pieces together, and it's like, oh my goodness, it was a web of lies, and they did brainwash me, and maybe I did have a trauma bond, and yes, this relationship was codependent, but I'm so grateful and relieved and just thankful that I am now on the other side of healing. And that's why it's so crucial for us to break free from these dynamics because they're so unhealthy. Being in a relationship with a narcissist and anyone who's toxic, so whether it's your siblings, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, whether it's a friend who's really not a good friend, it's very bad for our mental health to be in relationships that are not functioning, that are not stable, that are not mutual, that are not balanced. And that is why it's just crucial to end any type of toxic relationship. And of course, there are some situations where you may not. I'll give one situation. If right now you are married to, or even divorced or separated from a narcissist and you have children, that means you're co-parenting. If you are co-parenting, you cannot just walk away from this ex-narc. There's kids involved. There's responsibilities and obligations. And so it might be that you have to stay in this relationship with a narcissist until your kids are grown up, until they are adults. And so Gray Rock may work really well for you during this timeline. And please just support yourself, be there for yourself, and give yourself breaks if you need to from that ex-narc. So let's move on. So my mother had a favorite saying. She loved to say this. I mean, I'm talking from the time I was a young child all the way to a grown adult. She brainwashed me and drilled this into my brain daily. And she would say, "You can't survive without me." You can't survive without me. And so year after year, decade after decade, I'm talking 50 plus years, people, this was something that was brainwashed into my mind, into my brain. And I had a very codependent relationship with my malignant narcissistic mother. Obviously, now that she's deceased, I could see things so much more clearly. I could understand a lot better what I had suffered. And I give myself grace for the early days when I was a victim of abuse, child neglect, and narcissistic abuse, as well as her violence. And I give myself grace because I did not understand at that time narcissistic personality disorder. I did not understand trauma, nor was I even aware of my own trauma from my childhood, my adulthood, and all the crazy making of my dysfunctional family of origin. And so when I now think about how my mother said, "You can't survive without me," and I think, lady, I've done so much more than that. I've done more than surviving. I am thriving. Woo, woo. And so in my healing journey, and as I said, we're heading into 4 years that I have been no contact with my narcissistic mother and my toxic abusive siblings and their families. You know, when you have distance, you do see things more clearly. You awaken to the truth. You start putting the pieces of the puzzle together. You start setting boundaries. You rebuild your life. It's a fresh start, and it could be a very, very beautiful thing through time, through the process of understanding and doing the hard work of healing trauma. But the thing is that I see now, you know, I am doing so much better than I ever imagined, especially because there was a trauma bond, there was codependency in this relationship with my mother, and I am so proud for how far I've come. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the narcissist web of lies and the things they may say to you, and you could feel free to share with me some of the lies and the brainwashing that the narcissist has said to you. So we'll go with number one. This one's famous, and a lot of times this is when you're married or going steady, you have an intimate relationship, or it could even be your family member, someone who's narcissistic. So they say, "You are nothing without me." They always seem to say that one. I think that that's what they want, but I don't believe it's true. Next is they say, "Family is everything." Oh, dear God. Family is everything. Well, that could be based on the type of family you were raised in. That could really have a lot to do with your family. So if your family is caring and loving and nurturing and respectful and kind and gracious towards you, yes, then family's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Oh, it's wonderful. But if you're the family scapegoat, the black sheep in the family, someone who grew up like me in a very, very toxic, abusive, dysfunctional family, no, family's not everything. It could actually be a place that you don't feel safe. You know, our family's supposed to be a safe haven, and I could guarantee my childhood was a hot mess. It was not a safe haven. It was hell. It was hell. And I'll be the first to admit it. I've gone through some unspeakable things. For anyone who's interested, read my books, Soul Cry and or Soul Rescue. Both books clearly demonstrate how dysfunctional my family was, that I did suffer abuse, that I went through hell and back with complex PTSD and compounded trauma. And as you already know, I've done the hard work of healing. I am now a certified trauma recovery coach who is now, you know, reaching out to survivors to help them one trauma survivor at a time. But we can understand that no, family is not always everything if it ends up being very, very malicious, violent, and abusive. Next is another saying that's part of the brainwashing and web of lies. Number 3, "You can't find anyone better than me." That's what they say. You cannot find anyone better than me. Now that could be someone who you're in an intimate relationship with, maybe boyfriend-girlfriend situation or a marriage. And so the narc will tell you, the scapegoat, "You can't find anyone better than me." You know, and I think they say that because they're trying to like puff themselves up and they're trying to put you down because that's what they do. That's what makes them feel good. They think they're so strong. They're not strong. Deep down, I think they're very insecure, weak cowards, but they do put on a really big front. You know, they wear masks, and we could see that there's this Jekyll and Hyde persona. We clearly understand that they do play mind games with us. They mess with our head, and that's why it's really important to break free from these abusive dynamics. Another thing that the narcissist web of lies and the brainwashing and all the BS that they speak to so many people, they'll say, "It's so hard to love you. You're so hard to love. You're just not lovable." I think, number one, that is false. Number 2, it is cruel. Number 3, I think they're saying this to blame shift. So this is considered toxic shame. It's basically this lie is demonstrating toxic shame. They're trying to make you feel bad for who you are. They're trying to make you feel guilty. They're trying to make you feel ashamed. And they're really cruel in this tactic because they're trying to break you as a human being. They're trying to break your spirit. And we can understand that that is absolutely horrifying for someone going through it. It's very unpleasant to be told that you're unlovable. The truth is this, dear souls, you are so lovable. You are so worthy of receiving and giving divine, authentic, unconditional love. And we are each deserving of this. Love is our birthright, and may nobody steal that from you. The next one is something that my toxic sister said, not just once, 2 times. Both times were after I was sexually assaulted, and my sister said, "You deserved it. You asked for it." And so we must understand, number 1, nobody asks to be sexually assaulted. Nobody asks to be violated. And so whether it's a sexual assault, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's an actual crime, whether it is physical assault, mental abuse, because we can understand mental abuse is actually considered equally, if not more harmful than a physical assault. But we can understand this whole idea, you deserve to be abused. It's your fault. You asked for it. You deserve it. This is the furthest from the truth. We can understand these words hurt. That rhyme, a nursery rhyme, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words can never harm you. Oh, let's call it out. That's a bunch of BS. Words do hurt. And when someone tells you that you're not lovable, and then they turn around and they tell you that you are deserving to be violated, to be assaulted, to be bullied, manipulated, and beaten down year after year, my friends, they're just gaslighting you. They're just manipulating you. And this is part of their web of lies and their brainwashing. Please do not fall for it. Please take back your power. Educate yourself about psychologically abusive relationships. Do everything you can within your own power to start the healing journey, which I really believe education comes first. And along with education, emotional support. So whether it's a licensed therapist, a psychologist, a certified trauma recovery coach, make sure that this person is trauma informed and that they are educated, experienced, and very, very, very aware of the type of abuse that you have suffered, because that would make a better fit for your emotional support. So do what you need to do to take care of you. Next is I'm going to share a quote. Pure brilliance. Now, I don't know who the author is, but here's the quote. The number 1 rule of understanding a narcissist is very simple. All narcissists are notorious liars. Wow, pure brilliance. Spot on. And then, according to Psychology Today, they say, projection is the process of displacing one's feelings onto a different person. And so the reason why I'm talking about projection is because a lot of times when it comes to a toxic manipulative person, so whether it's just a toxic person who's abusive or it's full-blown narcissistic person who has narcissistic personality disorder, we can understand they use projection. It's part of their little chest of games, little toolbox that they use to manipulate you and to hurt you so badly. And so projection, it is the process of displacing one's feelings onto a different person. But we can also understand, and this is good, projection is a common tactic of a narcissistic personality. They ignore their own faults by projecting the very same things onto someone else, such as you. And so, for an example, if they are bullying you and they're very hostile, they may flip the switch and say, it's pretty much called blame shifting. They say that you were the one bullying them. And the one example is my toxic abusive siblings claimed that I'm the perpetrator and that my narcissistic mother was the victim. Bullshit! Calling out the bullshit card. Sorry, people, for the French, but I gotta call it out. Absolute nonsense. So this is common, though. How many of you have been told that you're the perpetrator, that you are the abuser? And then meanwhile, you have suffered decade after decade of trauma and drama, and you have been through the ringer. You have been just brokenhearted and betrayed, and yet the flying monkeys defend and stand up and support, and they stay loyal to the malignant narcissist. And then they turn around and tell the family scapegoat, you're the perpetrator. It's all you. Oh, that's right. Their famous line, it's all of us against you, so it must be you. And I call that family mobbing, which is also projection, which goes hand in hand with the web of lies and the brainwashing. And if they believe their lies, so be it. Not my problem and not your problem. We know the truth. And so a big part of healing is we speak up, even if it's to one person. And it might be quietly, like you might be in a therapy session and it's your therapist or it's your certified trauma recovery coach who you are disclosing your abuse and your trauma. And so whenever I say speak up, it doesn't necessarily mean publicly or to the whole world. It's one person. Even if you have one person who you know is trustworthy, who you believe that what you say, whatever you speak and tell them, it's going to stay confidential and private. And that's really important. You know, sacred space is so vital, but I'm going to wrap it up here. Have you dealt with a narcissist's web of lies? Have they brainwashed you? Did the flying monkeys stay loyal to them and turn their backs on you? Are you the black sheep of the family, or are you the family scapegoat? Have you been ever married to a narcissist? Let's talk about that too. I'd love to hear some stories for people who were in intimate relationships with narcissists and how that worked out. Did they give you a bunch of nonstop lies? Did they deny the truth? Did they somehow end up with like selective amnesia? I don't remember that. Geez, I don't remember saying that. Yeah, the famous lines of the narcissist. So share with me about the brainwashing, about the web of lies, about the deflection and the projection and everything you've been through. Let's keep the comments going down below. Like my video, subscribe to my channel, and you can visit me at danaarcuri.com. Thank you and have a wonderful day.